right, welcome everyone. We'll give you some time to all start dropping in here, but we're really excited that you are joining us today for this live recap of last week's Amazon Accelerate conference. A lot to cover in just an hour. We were there for 4 days and still feels like we weren't able to do everything that we hoped to accomplish there. So we'll jump into all of that in a minute, but we'll squeeze as much as we can into an hour. And then just so everyone knows, we're also going to have a two-part blog post coming out. And then this webinar will be recorded, so you will be able to access it after the fact and go back and just kind of listen to everything we said again as you get more familiar with these topics. So we'll give people just another minute or two to drop in, and then we'll kick off some introductions. I guess real quick while we're waiting as well, I'll just let everyone know we are going to open Q&A from the start. We want this to be a really interactive session. We want to be able to talk about the things that you maybe have heard about from Accelerate, or if you attended, the things that you saw and maybe want some more information on. So go ahead and start dropping your questions in the Q&A, not the chat, but into the Q&A, starting now. And as we get through introductions and everything, we'll start grabbing from that and answering your questions right away. And you can keep adding to those throughout the event. Hey, Matt. Yeah, please feel free to say hello to everyone. We'd love to know who's joining us, where you're joining from, if you're a current client, past client, future client, just a fan of AO2 or Seller Labs. We've got a lot of, I know, Seller Labs followers here. Brandon is a previous Seller Labs employee, as I am still both an AO2 and Seller Labs employee. So we're bringing it from, our expertise from both sides here. All right, we're a couple minutes in now, so I'm going to go ahead and do some introductions. I know people are still, oh, yay, hey, David, thanks for joining us. Glad to see you. Leanne and Greg. Oh, okay. I gotta stop watching chat, but keep posting. But I'm gonna make some introductions and I'll jump back over there. But thank you to everyone who has joined us. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Wright. I manage partnerships here at AO2 as well as for our partner company, Seller Labs. And so I host a lot of these webinars. You'll see me either as a host or as a panelist on most of what we put out. And I'm just here to facilitate things and keep the conversation going. Today, I am joined by two of our account managers who also were in attendance at the Accelerate event and have a lot of great information to share. So I'm just going to go ahead now and throw it right over to Brandon so he can introduce himself.
Awesome. So I'm an account manager here at AO2, actually started over on the Seller Lab side. Been here about 3.5 years or so. Actually started the first day that the COVID lockdowns happened for everybody. So that was a great start to my career here. Definitely super excited I could be on this call, and it was great to be at Accelerate.
I'm next.
Yep, absolutely.
So my name's Eve Mulligan. I am part of the AO2 team. I got to attend with Brandon and Jessica. My experience with Amazon goes clear back to when you could actually make money selling used books on Amazon. And I get that that really ages me, but I've been in the Amazon community for quite some time. And I love working as an account manager, helping other people with their brands and their businesses, grow them and be the profitable dream that they've always wanted.
And Eve, I hope I'm not picking on you here, but you left out something in your intro that I think is really going to be interesting to the people who are joining us, which is your Amazon journey started way back when, but as a seller, right? And that's
yes, my experience with Amazon is as a seller. I actually still have my own brand that I sell on Amazon. And so I come from the perspective of both the service side, but I understand the seller side point of view really, really well.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to make sure we got that out there because that really helps when we're kind of giving our perspectives on what we learned. We've got it from all sides here, and that's always the case with AO2. We really come in with this expertise from all areas of supply chain and manufacturing and being a brand and a seller and managing brands and sellers. And so, hopefully we bring you a really well-rounded perspective and, overview of what we saw last week at Accelerate, which is what we're talking about here today. For those of you who might have run into us at Accelerate, you notice that Nathan, who was there with us, our CEO, is not here today because he is in London attending an event with one of our other partners, Three Colts. And so I just want to take this opportunity real quick to plug that. Next week, we are doing a webinar with Three Colts. They will be hosting our wonderful Alexi Bell, who is one of our account directors here. She will be participating in that webinar. So we're going to drop in the chat now the link to be able to register for that webinar. We'd love if all of you who are here today can join us on that webinar as well. And that one will be focused on advertising, as well as kind of just in general where to save or get money back from Amazon. So it'll have a component that is focused on reimbursement services as well. All righty. And also, I guess I just made that assumption that some of you saw us at Accelerate last week, and that might not be the case. So we do have a poll, and this is a great segue into that, to launch. This first poll, we just kind of want to know from everyone who's here, were you at Accelerate? Did you want to attend but couldn't? Were you not even aware that Accelerate was an event that was happening? And that'll help us kind of a little bit with what we talk about and how deep we dive today too. So I'm going to leave that up for about 15, 20 more seconds. Make sure everyone has a chance to get their answers in. But it is looking like so far we are the lonely three. It was just the three of us who attended in person, but a couple of you did attend virtually, which is great. That's what I did the first 2 years of Accelerate, and you still get a lot of great content that way. All right, so that's helpful. Really interesting that about a third of the people who joined us here today didn't even know that the Accelerate event was happening. So good feedback for Amazon. Good feedback for us as well. Yeah, Stacey, to me, being in this world for as long as I have been, it's just something that's always on my radar. But it's good information for us as an agency that we need to make sure we're doing a better job of getting that information out to our clients and making sure you guys are informed and can take advantage of these things. Because Accelerate, it's great to be there in person like we were. It's really immersive. But it has a free virtual option. We're making sure that you guys are aware you can attend for free and get all the same information in sessions that we did. So great feedback. Thank you guys for that. And with that, now we'll jump into actually recapping what we learned. So just as a reminder, we are looking for user questions. So please feel free to just drop your questions into the Q&A. We'll answer those as we come in real time. We want to make sure we're talking about what you want to hear. And then until we have some questions queued up, we're just going to kind of jump in and start talking about the things as Amazon announced them. So first day of Accelerate, keynote session, day one, the very first thing they started talking about was supply chain by Amazon. SCBA, because we all know Amazon loves to give us abbreviations for things. So I'm just going to throw that out. You, Eve and Brandon, if either one of you kind of want to jump on that first, either give us a little recap of what it was or your initial thoughts, and we can kind of fill in the rest as we go.
Yeah. So I love the overall concept of supply chain by Amazon, where Amazon basically can take your product from your factory, overseas factory warehouse store, and get it into the Amazon FBA warehouse. In theory, I love the concept of it, but there are still a few too many unanswered questions in my head about logistics. And do I really want to trust Amazon with all of those little steps that so many things can go wrong in those steps? Brandon, Jess, do you have a different opinion on this?
I would say for myself, I completely agree, Eve. I think that, I'd like to see how it gets rolled out, but I do think it's a good idea in practice. Sorry to kind of just rehash exactly what you said in just a different way, but yeah, I definitely agree with you, Eve.
Yeah, and I think this is one where we're all three aligned. So I'll go a little bit deeper into some of the details. And I did see a couple chats coming in. So guys who've chatted, we hear you. I'll come back and answer your questions real quick, but since we started this topic, I'll just dive a little deeper. So yeah, supply chain by Amazon is going to be made up of a couple of things that have, already existed or are brand new introductions. But like Eve said, door-to-door management of supply chain. So Amazon will pick things up at your factory, we'll take them to Amazon, take them to your warehouse, we'll store them for you in their own warehouse that is separate from FBA warehouses. We'll even do that in like last leg delivery from your warehouse to your end customer. You know, if you're not using Amazon's FBA warehouses, the new shipping by Amazon, which we'll dive into more later, actually will do that last leg service like a UPS, like a FedEx, or postal service, and do that delivery service. So it's really, like you've said, and like Brandon said, it's really a great idea in theory, like end-to-end solution, one place. You don't have to hire a bunch of different vendors. Obviously, they're large. You get some great discounts. It could be really beneficial overall. But the concern is, you know, I think that so many sellers have, you know, giving Amazon more control over their business. And, you know, that's something if either you or Brandon want to chime in on, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I think that's something that comes up consistently with our clients is, you know, the trust in Amazon of like owning more parts of their business.
Yeah, well, and that's a valid concern. Like this concept of, I forget what it's called, but basically the Amazon 3PL system where they'll auto replenish into the FBA warehouse. That's invalid. It's included in this whole supply chain by Amazon. And like, I know I've got a client who has inventory there and yet still can't manage to stay in stock on Amazon and loses sales because of it. And that's Amazon's in control. Amazon, you know, promises to do a fabulous job of making sure you never run out of stock and saves you on all these fees. But if they kind of fall short on their promises, that's rough.
Yeah, and those are common. I think some of the more common complaints is that, you know, Amazon doesn't receive things quickly enough. They're not upstreaming for, you know, AWD, which is what Eve just mentioned, the Amazon Warehousing and Delivery. Last year, it was a beta program. We worked really hard to get some clients into the program, and results were really mixed. It was helpful at a time when we were still working within restock limits before we moved to capacity limits and things were really restricted. It was helpful at least to get some more stuff inbounded and have them in queue to be upstreamed. But yeah, we had a client who had an entire container of goods go missing because it was the case then, and I think it's still the case now with AWD. Correct me if I'm wrong. You still can't use Amazon integrated shipping options for that. So even though it's an Amazon program and it's part of this kind of full supply chain with Amazon, if you are a seller and you want to inbound products to AWD, which is the non-FBA warehouses, you still have to arrange your own shipping outside of Amazon. And that's really tricky for sellers who are used to using fulfillment by Amazon and having Amazon kind of handle that start to finish. You know, that just leaves room for more issues to happen. So it's definitely a concern. I don't want to speak all negative because I think one of the big takeaways from this area was that there will not be peak season rate hikes this year.
Right.
For AWD specifically. Sorry, I paused at a weird place with that. There will be peak season rate hikes for FBA as there typically is this year. There will not be peak season rate hikes for AWD this year. So if you enroll in the Amazon warehousing and distribution portion of supply chain by Amazon and bring your products to AWD, you can store them there at the standard, like across the board all year rates, which I haven't looked at the full rate chart yet. It's going to be in our follow-up blog post. I know that it's supposed to be some really intriguing numbers, but at Accelerate, they said as much as 80% savings on your storage fees by using AWD and having them automatically replenish your FBA instead of just using straight FBA.
Well, and I'm really hopeful that as it kind of shifts out of beta and into more of a standard feature, that's hopefully they worked out some of the bugs in the beta phase, because it is exciting. It's exciting because it's a headache to get your product, all those steps that have to happen between manufacturing overseas into the Amazon warehouses. That's a lot of steps. And if Amazon, you know, they kept talking about how we want to be your business partner and we want to help you. And if they really want to do that, that is a way that they really can help sellers. So it is exciting. And I really hope my concerns are not valid and are proven wrong in time.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, and I know, Brandon, as long as you've been an account manager, I think this, like the next piece of it, we're going to talk about the Amazon shipping by Amazon. Like that addresses probably something you've heard a lot from clients. I'll kind of cue this up and you tell me if it's true or not. But I think a lot of our sellers have problems with, as much as they appreciate Amazon FBA because it gives them kind of that distribution arm, they have a lot of issues with their inventory and how it's managed by Amazon at FBA. I'm sure you've had a lot of horror stories from clients on that sort of thing.
Definitely. And one of the big impacts, of course, is that being able to make sure that clients want to make sure that they're able to get their products to the customers in a timely manner. And I think that's a big reason of wanting to have FBA in the first place as well, and making sure that they can be Prime eligible. And so whenever they all of a sudden run out of inventory because of the fact that their IPI index is set at whatever it might be, they're having to rely on their fulfilled by merchant, and then they might have something happen where they can't get it to the customer in the time allotted, and then it ends up kind of causing even more issues. So definitely being able to have it kind of an all end-to-end solution, I think would be fantastic, and being able to have that all in-house at Amazon, I think would just make it easier for everybody if it does work the way it's supposed to.
Exactly. And yeah, what you just talked about, that running out of FBA inventory and having to switch over to FBM, that new shipping by Amazon is made, specifically to address that problem, and then just being an FBM seller in general. So that is kind of what I mentioned in the intro, where Amazon becomes that final leg delivery service, and they will go to your house or your warehouse or whatever, however you as an FBM merchant stock your inventory. They will come pick up your daily shipments from you and take those to the end consumer. And it doesn't just stop with your Amazon FBM orders. The really interesting thing, and what I'm really intrigued to see kind of how this all plays out, is they will take any shipments you have. So if you're selling on Target as a drop shipper for Target.com, they will pick up your Target orders and take them to where they need to go. If you are selling on your own website and you have all these, Shopify, BigCommerce, Xcart orders, those will be picked up and taken to the end consumers as well. They're doing that whole final leg. It is a slow rollout. I think they're in 15 metro areas as well right now, but they're going to continue to expand throughout the rest of this year and into next year to cover more and more areas with this final leg service. I know I'm forgetting something about shipping by Amazon. There were a couple key points that were really interesting. 7 days a week. So
Yeah.
they will pick up and deliver Sunday through Saturday, 7 days. And with that, there's something else. I know that there's something else that, like, this was a big topic. Everyone was really excited about it. And I felt like I was one of the few that was sitting there going, it all sounds exciting, but like, what are they actually going to, how are they actually going to deliver this? Are they going to do, what they promised to do?
I don't know, Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, but in theory, it's not that much more difficult than what they're already doing. They already have the distribution network already. I would imagine that these metro areas that they're rolling it out on first are the ones where often people are getting 1 day delivery. And so they
or
are
same day.
Or say, yeah, 1 day or same day. So they already have a great system in place. It just means, and I actually love that they're only rolling it out in 15 metro areas to begin with, because it lets them test in their biggest markets, and markets where they probably have the best presence and the best infrastructure first. So I love it. I have a couple of clients that do custom items, and so they can't sell as FBA. And so it'll be interesting as this rolls out, how that works for them for fulfilling their orders, not only from Amazon, but also from Etsy, eBay, their own website, whatever other places that they sell on. This is a huge game changer. This is one of the things I'm most excited about from Accelerate, especially for custom sellers, for sellers who their item isn't a good fit for FBA. This opens a whole new world to them.
Yeah, I think that my initial reaction had more to do with Amazon as a shipper for FBA orders. So when Amazon was the carrier as an option to get your FBA orders from your location to the FCs, that never went smoothly. There was no tracking availability. You had no, as soon as it left your location, you immediately lost oversight onto your units. And so if they went missing, if I was working with an LTL carrier like Yellow, or I was working with UPS or FedEx, I could see that.
Yeah.
And I could see what was happening with it along the way, and I could hold them accountable. When it was
I believe
Amazon,
that was, maybe that was the feature you were forgetting, is it does come with a tracking number and photo proof of delivery.
yeah, yeah, that is like, and I was shocked when they finally said that. I was like, okay, well, now I'm sold. I'm on
Yeah,
board with this. And the
definitely.
other thing I did remember that I was forgetting. Sorry, Brandon, did I just interrupt you?
No, you did not. No, I was
Okay.
just agreeing.
No, that's the problem with this. I love these kind of like casual fireside chats, but it is much easier to like get excited and talk over each other. So sorry. The sales lift. So the projected sales lift from having this 7-day coverage and having Amazon be able to be the shipper and do it, with a little bit more speed. I think it's like 7% is the projected sales increase for FBM sellers who are utilizing this service. Okay, just a little housekeeping real quick because we jumped right into it and we've had some things come up in the chat. So at the beginning of this, we mentioned that we have a webinar coming up next week with our partner 3 Colts, and we dropped a link in the chat for that. Someone asked, who is 3 Colts? So 3 Colts is a partner of AO2. They are also a service provider in the e-commerce industry. They offer a lot of things that we don't, like reimbursement services, some customer service options, things like that. The reason we brought them up is because we're doing a co-branded webinar with them next week on the topic of advertising and reimbursement services. So if you're interested in that, scroll back up in the chat. You'll find the link. You can click through and register for that webinar, and also just learn a little bit more about our partner, 3 Colts. The other housekeeping thing that, thank you to David, who reminded me of this in the chat, we didn't tell you really what Accelerate is. So there were a lot of people who indicated that they didn't go, they didn't even know about the show, but I kind of missed the cue there to tell you really what it is. So Accelerate is Amazon's annual flagship show for sellers. So this is when every team at Amazon who works with Seller Central or works directly with sellers comes together and just talks about what they've been doing for the year. And this is where they really introduce any new big things that are going to be coming out over the next year. So a lot of what they announced last week, I think it was like 20 different new innovations. A lot of those things are kind of already out there and they're going to be rolling out through the end of 2023. And then a lot of things we will find out more about in 2024, but they've kind of let us know and given us the big picture of what's going to happen. So that event happens annually in September, and it's available both in person and virtually. So if you can't register to go to the in-person event, either because it's filled up or because it just doesn't make sense for you to travel to Seattle for a number of days when the rescheduled Beyonce concert is, and hotels are really expensive and flights are really expensive, and that was something we didn't anticipate when we decided to go to Accelerate. You can register for free to join virtually and watch most of the sessions. There are a few things that they only have there live, a lot of the hands-on like instructional stuff, but most of the sessions you can register and watch after the fact. Right now, if you registered for Accelerate, you can watch all of the sessions virtually still, and coming in October, I think they'll open those up and make them available to anyone on the internet who wants to go back and watch those.
And the other great thing about being there was just being able to talk to all the different people that are, again, selling on Amazon. So it's also a huge networking event if you can make it in person, where you can, have lunch with, 15 other people sitting at a table, all talking about, their experiences selling on Amazon, which I think is huge. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think, for me, learning everything that Amazon introduced, having that, ability to connect with Amazon employees one-on-one, that's, big. And I appreciated that. But there are other opportunities throughout the year where I can kind of experience some of those things or even get them virtually, but being able to connect live in person with so many sellers and other like partners in the industry and that sort of thing that's invaluable. And that was really the best part of it. Agree so much. All right, getting back over, we've got so many messages coming in, so appreciate you guys just dropping this stuff in. So a couple of things. I'm going to go first with this one in the Q&A. So caught the very end of a session about new dashboard for customer insights and return insights. Can you share more about this and how you find and use it? Either of you have anything right off on that, or you want me to kind of give some? I think I sat in on that session, and I know there was some stuff at the keynote.
Yeah, I think you probably have more info on that than I do, Jess.
So Amazon's kind of framing this as like improved customer sentiment insights. And so it's a couple of different dashboards that will give information. So the returns and reviews, I think it's going to be basically, this is like it initially, at least the rollout is top products. So it's not going to tell you everything about every single one of your products, but like your top 5 or 10 revenue drivers, how many of them were returned versus your sales, what the reason codes were and the percentage for those reason codes. And it's even going to give you some top sentiments that were included from buyers in those returns, so that you can better understand at a glance why your products are being returned and how you could maybe make some improvements based on that. So that's part one. And then customer review insights is going to be another similar dashboard that's going to show you those same types of things, but extracted from reviews. So for both of these things, like you could go find this all on your own, but being able to just have it produced for you real time without having to go do that research, then gives you back that time as a brand owner to be able to analyze that information. And I think that's, where I'll probably now throw it over to you, Brandon, and Eve, and just talk about how maybe that could be helpful to the clients you've worked with, because I know we've all had instances where, we have sellers who have more questions about their reviews or their returns, or maybe don't even understand. Maybe this is the opportunity to tell people like who aren't questioning those things why that's helpful for them.
I think I believe I was in on that talk, but one of the things that seemed insightful for me from helping out different sellers on Amazon is that I felt like this dashboard would allow for people to better understand their own products and maybe where they want to go next with what additional products they might want to have as well, by looking at kind of where the reviews are at based on their catalog of products, and figuring out maybe if they want to add in an additional product, maybe where the stronger reviews are, and maybe they want to have something more similar to that they add into their catalog of products. And see where their weaknesses are and make sure that they're better improving it. I know I have clients all the time that, they're trying to really push a product from an advertising standpoint that, might not necessarily have the best reviews, and being able to, think about where you might want to actually, make make other products that you have more profitable, and not focus so much on the other additional ones that have the bad reviews. Again, I just think it gives you more insight, essentially. I thought it was kind of an interesting aspect that they're adding in.
Yeah.
It's ringing bells as you talk about it. There was so much information. Honestly, the 2 days of content are just kind of a blur. As we talk, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that now. So thank you for jogging my memory.
Yeah, I mean, there were 4 of us, just for everybody here, there were 4 of us there. There were 30 plus sessions and all these conversations that Brandon mentioned, where we're trying to get out and actually talk and network and talk, with our people. I'm not certain that all of us got to sit into the in-depth sessions, or one of us got to sit into the in-depth session on every single one of these topics. So for some of these things, we're giving you basically kind of what we got at the keynote, the high level, and then, definitely check out our blog later, because we'll have some more, nitty gritty details. So sorry, just wanted to add that in, but please.
No, absolutely. That's a great point to make. My one little point I wanted to make about this was using these kind of return and review insights as a driver for improving products and making a better product. And I think, Brandon, you were kind of hinting at that as well. I think they used an example of like a company that made like tents or something, and how based on the reviews of things customers complained about the product, they designed a new product that met all of those needs that the customers were expressing in the reviews. And the new product was a fantastic seller for this company. And so how valuable the voice of the customer is when designing and growing our catalogs. So it's awesome. It's great that Amazon is giving brands more tools.
Yeah. And then just, you know, kind of we are as sellers, we as the people who help sellers have to kind of remember, like, as much as it seems like it on the day to day, right? Amazon is not our enemy. We really are partners in this business, you know, for better or worse. And so let's utilize what they're giving us in the best way possible. And, you know, don't look at the customer return insights and just, you know, grumble about, oh, how silly the customers are and how they're giving bad feedback or they didn't know how to use it. Like, think of those things that you would say and use those as the insights. Oh, the customer didn't know how to use it. That's why they gave me a bad review. Okay, so how can we make sure that the customer knows how to use that product in the future so that we're not getting that type of review? And it's hard to kind of accept that Amazon's actually giving us really good, usable, actionable tools at this stage, because for so long there wasn't a lot of seller support. And now it's here, and let's just make sure we're using it in the right way, and then giving that feedback, because that's how Amazon's going to develop more tools. The more of us adopt them and start using them and giving the feedback where we have the opportunity. And often you'll see those little feedback links at the top of the page in Seller Central. That's going to give you the, you know, the opportunity to give feedback and help influence these programs in the future. All right, just a couple more things I saw in the chat. I want to make sure we do address. So somebody asked, what is that called, that they do the FBM orders? So I think that was in reference to what we were talking about earlier with Supply Chain by Amazon, specifically the Shipping by Amazon portion. So that's the name of that program. I don't think we'll have a chance today to throw the links for all of these things into the chat, but like I said, keep an eye out for that blog we've got that'll be posted on AO2's website coming up. I think the first half is going to go live tomorrow, and then we'll have a second half early next week. We'll have all of the links to all of these specific programs in that blog post. And then the same person also asked, FBA for Shopify app is live and approved app on Shopify now. Is this still how they extorting us to give higher storage limits? So I guess like the short answer to that is yes, the Shopify app is live, and that's huge. And that was a big thing. I think that was on day 2, where we talked about the app for Shopify. That was it's buy with Prime, essentially. Amazon and Shopify are partnering through Amazon's Buy with Prime program. For those of you who are not familiar with Buy with Prime, we did a webinar last month with the Buy with Prime team, very informative, that is available on our website. You can check that out and learn a lot more about Buy with Prime. But yeah, in the early days of Buy with Prime, this is an opportunity for you to have the Buy with Prime checkout button on your own website and be able to use your Amazon inventory to fulfill those orders for your own website. But because Amazon and Shopify were not friends, it was more difficult for Shopify users. They could do it, but they were getting these warnings that they might get their account suspended, and it was scary. But to this person's point, this was one of the things that Amazon was pushing sellers to use to be able to increase their storage unit limits. You know, and I would like to frame it as an opportunity. It was an opportunity for sellers to get, you know, higher storage limits. If you're already selling on your own website and you already have inventory tied up at Amazon, you know, why not take that opportunity to kind of move that inventory more quickly, prove to Amazon that you're a higher volume seller, that your products are moving quickly, and kind of instill that trust to increase that IPI score that Brandon mentioned earlier, that, you know, really is a big key indicator of how you operate with your inventory on Amazon. So why not take advantage of that? But that was one of the announcements, was that app is now live. Yeah.
Yes. Do you remember what I know there was some stats they shared of what the conversion rate increase is when people go to a company's website and there's Buy with Prime, you know, the checkout Buy with Prime, how much higher the conversion rate is versus just checking out on the website without Prime. Do you remember what that is? I don't.
I think it's 15.
Yeah.
I saw Brandon looking in his brain. Does that sound right? I think it's 15. So I've been involved with Buy with Prime since the very early days, since it was launched and still in beta, and I've seen that number grow. Early on, with less users adopting it, it was smaller. As they've gotten a wider audience and more categories, I think it's 15 now. The expectation is your owned website sales revenue will grow by 15% just by having that button there, because shoppers trust Amazon.
Do.
Shoppers already have their payment information stored at Amazon. Shoppers know if they're using, Prime shipping, that it's going to get there fast, and it's, if not, if there's a problem with it, Amazon's going to take care of it. So it is a big push for sellers or for shoppers to, want to check out that way. I think what we would want to see maybe that isn't available yet is like the flip side of that is like, are you getting a straight 15% lift on your website sales? And is that not taking away from your Amazon sales or from another channel? Is it just a straight increase? Or is it just a balance of, you're moving sales from one platform to another? And in that case, how is the fee structure? And are you as a seller more profitable by moving those sales?
Yeah. Yeah, those are all great questions, and that only time will tell on it. But I think it's really advantageous if you have your own website and you've got the same inventory in the FBA system. Why not try it? And the fees are really reasonable, I think, because they're trying to get a higher rate of adoption, and so now is a great time to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to be like the Amazon evangelist, but from my perspective, as someone who's been doing this for as long as I have, please try the new things they put out, because if they're terrible, we want to know as, your service providers, and, being able to warn other sellers and give that feedback to Amazon, and Amazon wants to know so they can fix it or get rid of it. And if they're great, then they want to make enhancements, and we want to see those enhancements, and we want that feedback. So everything that we're talking about here today, everything you're going to see on our blog, at least go check it out, and then, give us that feedback of what you're interested in and what you're not interested in. We'd love to hear it, because it will help us as we talk with more people in the community as well. One other quick question that came in on this FBA discussion, someone's asking, how does the system know where to pull if you have both FBA and FBM stock? And I think that's a question that comes up a lot. And I don't, in the like general Amazon like fulfillment world, that, seems to be confusing for people. So you have separate offers for FBA and FBM. So in your Amazon inventory, those are different SKUs. Each SKU that you have, so if you have 2 SKUs for the same ASIN and you designate one as FBA and one as FBM, on your actual product detail page, there's going to be 2 different offers. So they will both say, sold by you as the seller, but one of them will say and fulfilled by Amazon, and the other one will say and fulfilled by the merchant. So it will show your name again. And so depending on which the shopper clicks on, whether they want the one that's fulfilled by Amazon or want the one that's fulfilled by the merchant, that's how the system knows whether to pull the inventory, for FBA or FBM. All right, some more questions queued up here. We're going to get through as many of these as we can, and then I think towards the end, we're probably just going to kind of give you a quick rundown of some of the topics we didn't get to talk about, because at the end of this, when you leave, we're gonna give you a survey to know what topics you want to know more about. And I think that might be how we have to cover this. We might have to do an Amazon Accelerate recap round 2 to make sure we cover all the topics, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Stacy Lynn, you asked for a link to more info about this. Let us know in the chat which topic specifically you're looking for more info about. We'll make sure that we get you that link either live here now, or we have your contact information and we'll get you the follow-up link after the event. Fees are reasonable for Buy with Prime, yes, but does Amazon have a history of jacking up fees once we get dependent on their system? Yes, yes. Can't say no to that. So, I did a lot of speaking last year towards the end of the year about how 2023 was going to be the year of fees with Amazon, and how we were expecting to see 6 different fee increases over the course of the year. So yes, we can, we really can't deny that that happens, and I don't want to pretend that it doesn't, because we do want to always be completely forthcoming about the fees that sellers are dealing with, and how sometimes unfair or unbalanced that seems. The one thing I would say about that, and obviously Eve and Brandon, feel free to chime in, is that Amazon does provide a lot of programs and a lot of opportunities as well for you to be able to save money on fees through different avenues. So for instance, the transparency program this year, if you want to enroll in transparency, you have to pay the fee to even get your codes. They're offering 20,000 codes per product free through the end of the year. So I think, at like 5 cents per code, that's a massive savings. So you just have to kind of be looking out for those things. There's the referral bonus, where if you're driving offsite traffic to Amazon, you'll get part of your commission fees back. So, stick with us, watch the things we're talking to you about, watch the things we're posting onto our blogs. If you are one of our clients, talk with your account managers regularly, and just, be asking them about those things if they're not telling you about them, because, I would say at least once a month, there are FBA new selection is another one. We just were talking about that internally, because they just updated the benefits for this quarter, and introduced some new discounts for storage fees, for advertising fees, for returns, kind of across the board. If you're enrolling new products into FBA, then you can save on those fees on those new products. That kind of helps to balance things across the board. And I know I just did a lot of talking, so if either one of you have anything to say on fees, please chime in.
I do understand, as from a brand owner's perspective, I get the question. I absolutely do. But I also, like, in particular for Buy with Prime, when I think about how long it takes us, like if we want to fulfill our orders from our own website, how much time and just man hours and honestly just the cost of fulfilling our own orders and the cost of shipping those orders versus the cost of the FBA fees, it is a better deal for your customers, and your customers are happier. So Amazon's not the big bad guy. They really, yes, rule one with Amazon is out to make money for Amazon. But Amazon is also, this is something that kind of almost caught me off guard attending, is how much it was, we hear you, we understand your pain points, and we want to help, and we want to be your partner. And you can very kind of cynically kind of look and go, are you really? Do I really consider you my partner? But when you look at all the other factors involved in running a brand and having a business, Amazon really is your partner and is trying to give you the tools and resources. And this Accelerate conference, time and time and time again, every keynote address, every class I went to, I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really beneficial for this use case. And how exciting that they're listening. Is it perfect? No, but they're listening. And like Jess said, the more we adopt it, the more they're going to give us. So that's my 2 cents.
No, I completely agree. And I think what you just said definitely hits the nail on the head, if I didn't just cut out just now.
We can still hear you. Your video paused, but we could hear you perfectly fine. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think those are all excellent points, and it's tough in the day-to-day. It's tough when you're not getting the support that you need, which I did that on purpose because I want to segue into this next topic about support. When you feel like Amazon support is broken, it's really tough to feel like that is your business partner, because they're not helping sellers the way that you think that they should. So one real quick thing that was available only live and in person at Accelerate, and may be something that would influence people to attend next year, seller cafe appointments. So this was an opportunity for you to meet directly with higher level, like escalation level support of seller support team members, to discuss issues that you've been having in your account and get, hopefully like immediate resolution there at the table. And if not, have that direct contact of someone you've met in person to help you kind of throughout the process ongoing. So Eve, I know you took one of those appointments. Any feedback on that? Was it a worthwhile reason to kind of even be worth going to the show?
It was amazing. I brought 2 different problems we've had with brand registry for clients that we have been round and round and round and round. And just because we're an agency doesn't mean we somehow have the secret resolution to everything. We still have problems because we're still dealing with the Amazon system just like you were. We have a few more tricks up our sleeve, but we still sometimes hit roadblocks. And so I was able to sit down and lay out the problem on a particular brand and have this escalation specialist look at it and go, oh, I can see that this should have never been a problem. Okay, let me deal with this in this specific way. And here's what I need from you. And although he didn't solve it immediately, he's like, I am on the case and I will be here through a resolution and we're going to get this fixed. And so it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, if you're dealing with issues that you cannot get to the bottom of that's causing monetary loss for your business, I highly recommend, if for that reason and no other reason, go to Accelerate, book a Seller Cafe appointment, and bring your problems to the table and get somebody who can actually resolve them.
I think I met about 6 people at the conference, and I talked to quite a few people, but like 6 people, I feel like it's a pretty good number that literally were going just because of that specifically.
Yeah, and we did have a client who attended that. Oh yeah, I think that's a huge benefit, and just kind of want to put that out there. There are other things that hopefully we might have time to get into, discuss, that are advancements that they're making specifically in seller support. But that one to me was just like a really big deal, like worth the flight to Seattle for a lot of people just to resolve that issue that's been tying up something in their business and it's been costing them money. And it was, less money to go out there and talk to somebody in person and resolve it than it was to keep dealing with the issue. But I saw a question pop up of something that I'm really excited about. So I wanted to talk about it, which is new feature that involves products being discounted after sitting in the cart. So, I think this is something that I've used as a tactic on other websites. I'll put something in the cart and wait for them to contact me back and offer a discount. And so now this is something that's going to be available on Amazon as well. So Eve, Brandon, thoughts on that? I'm just excited about it as a shopper.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I actually, you can kind of see my printed. You would go to this stuff and they would have all this great information up on a screen, and you'd look around the room, everybody's got their cameras out taking pictures of what's on the screen because there was so much information to try to handwrite it all. You couldn't keep up with it, or even if you've got your laptop out. So I actually printed one of these pictures. It's this brand tailored audience where custom discounts for certain people. What's the interesting trick about it is, like, if somebody sees, because they've abandoned their cart of your product, and then the next time they look at it, they see a 10% off that product. If they were to share the link with their girlfriend about, hey, check this out, if they log in on their Amazon account to look at it, that discount's not going to show. It's completely customized to that account, to that consumer, based on that consumer's behavior. Super cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with the abandoning cart issue, I think that's definitely convinced me to buy products from other websites as a consumer of e-commerce products. So it'll be interesting to see how Amazon rolls it out. It does make me think that, over time, is this going to be the norm of, how things are done from an e-commerce perspective, of that, everyone, in 5 years, is every person who buys something going to know this trick of, I put something in my cart, let it sit there, and then I get this discount, and everyone, like essentially everyone's doing it to expect that discount. So it is sort of an interesting aspect from just, curious of like what kind of social cultural changes will come with someone like Amazon rolling this out to sellers and having them have that ability. But definitely I find it useful for, again, making me purchase products that I maybe forgot about or something like that too. So.
Yeah, it's a really good point. From a brand perspective, it's kind of like 50-50. Like we're really excited right now to have this tool and to be able to utilize it and get some additional sales maybe that would have been cart abandoners who never came back. But yeah, the long-term impact, then will shoppers start to expect it? Will I never be able to make a sale without waiting for somebody to check out and offering that discount? Really good point, Brandon.
Right.
Jess and Brandon, it goes beyond cart abandoners. There were lots of different ones that they kind of rolled out. There's potential new customers that, if based on their shopping behavior, the algorithm decides you would be a good fit for this product, well, it'll target potential new customers. So new to brand consumers, that's huge. Consumers who purchase recently and spend the most is called top tier. Promising is consumers who purchase recently, buy occasionally, and spend above average. And the third one was at risk, customers who haven't purchased recently nor frequently with varied spend. So there's lots of different little niches of targeting that you can set up all these different layers of options.
Right.
Yeah, and just, for everybody who's following along, we kind of jumped around to a couple different little areas of topics there. So this is part of, I think, something that was one of the bigger announcements and things that people were very excited about at the show, customer loyalty and analytics dashboard. Yep. And brand tailored promotions. And those are available. If you are a brand registered seller, it should be available to you now. Eve, with all of your notes and pictures, did you happen to log where that's going to be available in Seller Central? I did not. So don't feel like you're put on the spot.
I know internally we've been talking about brand tailored promotions, and I forget where exactly it's located.
Okay,
maybe so that's something we could include in the blog post.
Yep, we'll make sure that's in the blog, so we're giving you that information. But just be on the lookout for that. Customer loyalty analytics dashboard and brand tailored promotion. That's what that topic is. We've got about 8 minutes left. I worried we wouldn't have enough content to fill this whole hour, and we wouldn't have enough questions coming in, and we might be wrapping it up early. And of course, we're having the opposite problem. So I'm going to take about 5 minutes and just kind of scroll through my notes and throw out some topics that we haven't talked about yet. Eve or Brandon, if you want to chime in on one of them. If not, we'll move on to the next. But I want to get them all out there so that the viewers can hear all of the things that we maybe aren't able to go in depth on, and can let us know in the post Zoom survey what they want to hear more about in the future. So let's see. We talked about Amazon warehousing and delivery, supply chain by Amazon. Selling partner app store is growing and changing and kind of making more available in terms of the types of apps that are available to sellers. Any bites on that? I'm going to keep scrolling. Community engagement improvement, so changes to seller forums and how that's all going to work, what the interface looks like, the different types of posts that Amazon will be dropping into sellers there on the forum. Ooh, seller support, escalate my case. That poor woman who was presenting about that at the keynote.
You leaned over to me and you were like, she is the most hated woman in this room.
I felt so bad for her. It was Mary Beth Westmoreland. She was the VP of Seller Experience. So think about it. Your job is to make sure sellers are having a good experience, and you step on the stage and start talking about the seller experience. And people did not boo her, but there was a collective groan in the room. But she had some really interesting things that she talked about, changes that are coming to seller support. One of those things was escalate my case, which is supposed to be an easier way to escalate your case. Like essentially it sounded like a one button click to escalate your case to a higher level support when you've already gone through the back and forth with support a couple of times. Anything else? There were a couple of other things she talked about support specifically. Either of you want to surface on that before we move on to the next topic?
I think my big takeaway was, we hear you, we understand your pain, and we're working on it, but it's still going to take some time. Please be patient. And she talked about how kind of redoing their structure and how they handle cases and kind of starting from scratch was just going to take time, but she was acknowledging that it's really kind of not very good right now. And it was, you gotta applaud her for being as frank and honest. She wasn't just blowing, throwing rose petals on the stage saying everything's wonderful. So I applaud her for that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and the one really interesting stat that that I think she threw out there, I think it was Mary Beth who said that this was about how there were 5 million like instigators that they were working to fix. So essentially, of all the support cases that we've all been opening over the years, they've identified, her team, 5 million kind of root cause issues. So instead of having to solve these one by one, seller by seller, they've got these 5 million issues that are working to solve so that just no one encounters them again, so that seller essential cases aren't required, which is really, really interesting and really encouraging that they're going to fix these things so that we don't encounter them again. But also it's 5 million. Like, I don't know how big that team is, but it's not 5 million people. Like, that's a lot for them to fix. So, hearing that they're focused on it, hearing that they felt the pain, but also understanding they're working on 5 million root cause issues. That's not even all of the different issues. That's just the main ones that they identified that they want to fix the root cause of. So it's going to take time, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. And make sure you're paying attention to your cases, or hiring the right Amazon professionals like us to come in and help you with those things, because you're still going to be facing some hurdles when you're trying to solve these things, but they are looking at it. Okay, I'm going to scroll through really quickly. I'm just going to yell them all out there. There's so much more that we didn't get to cover today. I'm so surprised that we kind of hit on as few as we did. So I really do think we might need a round 2 of this. But if anybody has anything to say, chime in. Then we'll go kind of into a quick recap, just like what was your favorite thing. We got one more poll to launch, and then we have to wrap it up because I don't want to waste anybody's time and keep them over. Generative AI management and listing creation. New AR features for like how to view things in your room. So view in your room has been there, but we've got some new stuff coming for view on your table. That was a big announcement. Fit Insights kind of fits into that as well, for kind of sending returns and giving better information on clothing products. New seller protections. This is a big one. I don't want to try and even talk about this in 2 to 3 minutes, but especially for FM sellers, protections against false item not delivered claims, things that they're going to be doing there for that. Automatic review removals for abusive reviews. Some really, like, those topics got a lot of attention, I think, and those sessions were really heavily attended. We kind of talked about brand tailored audiences already, customer loyalty analytics, customer sentiment insights. Somebody here surfaced that question, so thank you for that. Search analytics changes, coupons, deals, and promotion changes to how you can access those things in the seller app, which is really exciting. Ships in product packaging is a new solution that's launching. New climate pledge friendly certifications that are coming. We all know those badges are really important to us as sellers. They do actually lead to a lift in sales. So there's some new badges that are coming out. New sustainability hub coming out to make it easier for you as a seller to show what your brand is doing or is naturally encompassing for those sustainability initiatives. And I think those are the big ones. Anything I forgot that we want to throw out there to make sure people are aware of, that they can comment, that they want to hear more about?
I think that's kind of the big stuff. I mean, and we just barely touched on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really thought we were going to have more time to dive into these things, and just the 4 or 5 topics we got into were, that big of discussion points for us. So thank you guys for the discussion, and thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Real quick, I want to ask Brandon, favorite part of Accelerate? What was your favorite part of being there? I think you kind of gave us a highlight of that earlier.
I did. Sorry to mess up the thunder and all that, but yeah, definitely connecting with sellers. I thought that was awesome, and then also seeing one of the Beastie Boys in person was fantastic at the beginning. So I'm just gonna say that too. So yeah, definitely awesome.
So I'm right there with Brandon. I loved all the information, but I also love just that human connection. So much about the Amazon industry and the way we work as agencies with our clients, with and I know a lot of brand owners are in the same boat where everything is virtual and remote, and you're not in person with teams. And so getting to meet some of my team members in person, as well as I connected with a handful of my clients that I personally meet with, was huge, and was just the icing on top of a great couple of days of just knowledge information download.
100%.
Yeah, agree with all of the above, but Brandon definitely stole mine. If you haven't checked it out on our LinkedIn, on our Instagram, I did get to meet Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys. Absolute highlight of the week for me. There is photo evidence of it happening. That's my highlight on top of everything else, of course. So yeah, great show, great opportunity for us in the future. We'd love to see more of you there, but definitely want to make sure we keep you informed so you know when to even just register to attend it virtually. Thank you again, Eve and Brandon, both of you, for joining us today. We are going to launch one more poll, so if you guys don't mind answering that on your way out, it's just a quick question about what types of these events you'd like to see in the future to make sure we're bringing the right type of presentation to you. And then as a reminder, if you just answer this on your way out, that's fine. We understand everybody has to go. There will be a 2-question survey that pops up when you leave us, and that's where you can let us know which of these topics or any kind of other topics you want to hear about in the future for webinars we might do in the future. So again, thank you all so much for attending. We hope to see you back next time. Thank you.
Thanks so much.